Now, the Africa Soft Power Summit continued into another day on Friday with the focus on the creative and innovative industries. Leading businesses and individual voices from around the world took time to examine how Africa's creative sectors can deliver growth and returns on the continent. News Central's Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun reports from Kigali in Rwanda.
Panels and discussions focused on how the creative and innovative industries can be used to better tell the modern African story on the world stage, to change perspectives, shift global dialogues, and strengthen relationships with the diaspora community as well. But should we also make these conversations gendered?
So we don't need to gender the creative space because historically it's a space that's been very welcoming to women. We see a lot of women in that space. We see them in fashion, we see them in film and television, we see them in the arts, we see them in literature. So in that sense, we don't need to gender the space. What we need to do, though, is make sure that there are equal and accessible opportunities for women in that space in the same way that the male sector would have as well.
These two industries are some that have led the way for women's participation and progress, but they are not the only sectors to witness advancement.
What we're seeing now is more and more women, especially in Africa, for example, in the film and television industry, go behind the scenes. So we're seeing an incredible increase in female directors, female producers, female scriptwriters, female filmmakers. And what they're doing is that they're telling the stories of African women over the ages because they are best placed to do that.
On the sidelines of the day's conversations, there was still the focus on women's political participation and leadership. With participants coming from around the world, there were conversations on how women could exercise real power.
African American women on the continent, well, African women on the continent, African American women in the United States face similar problems because I think sometimes we're sort of pigeonholed in roles, family roles, community roles, in support, and not always seen as leaders, even though in many of the places where we exist, we do lead. But I think it's up to us to encourage women and acknowledge their leadership, and that's how people will start to see themselves differently.
The Africa Soft Power Summit brought to the fore discussions around how culture is no excuse for keeping women out of the leadership space, as well as a focus on connecting the continent's countries for new pathways of progress. Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun in Kigali, Rwanda for News Central.